Hello everyone, welcome to your daily dose of education. I am George and today I will be presenting about habit 3 from Stephen Covey's 7 habits of highly effective people. Habit 3 is putting first things first. It's about setting priorities and overcoming procrastination. Something which I'm sure a lot of us can relate to. By the end of this video, I hope you understand what habit means, how to prioritize using Covey's framework, and the 6 different types of procrastinators. So maybe and hopefully by the end of this video, you can recognize yourself in one of them. Um, I also chose this topic because I tend to find myself procrastinating a lot, and I wanted to dig deeper and understand why I do what I do, and if there's a way to avoid it or work around it. So, firstly, I'll explain habit 2 because habit 3 is it builds on habit 2. Covey's habit 2 of highly effective people is focusing uh, with an end goal in mind. So, you need to know your goal, you need to know what the end target is. And habit 3 is about execution, it's about how you actually organize your time and energy around what matters the most instead of what's just the most engaging to do or most urgent. And again, just prioritizing your time correctly. I'll be using this whiteboard to help me visualize my points. So, as you can see here, the habit is putting first things first. Firstly, I would like to draw your attention to this time management matrix. It's something Covey introduces to better explain what we do and how we do it. So, as you can see here, we have 2 axes. On the top, we have urgent and not urgent. And on the side, we have important and not important. Um, so, moving on to quadrant 1. What is quadrant 1? It's something that is important, and urgent. What will be an example of something that's important and urgent? Um, well, actually, first, I would like to explain what would make something urgent versus what's not urgent. For something to be urgent, there will need to be a certain close deadline, say within a week. It has a time restraint, and well, what is important and what's not important depends on you and your goals. So, let me explain again. What is quadrant 1? Something that is urgent, so there is a time sensitive matter, and something that's important to you and your goals. An example of this would be an assignment that's due within a week and you haven't started on it. It's something you need to finish as soon as possible. It's time sensitive and it's important. If your goal is to pass the year, it's important to your goals, so you need to do this assignment and get the credits. Quadrant 2, non urgent but important. This is where Covey says highly effective people spend most of their time. This is what you do if you're proactive. You start working on what's important before it becomes urgent. So, for example, working on an assignment 2 weeks before it's due and trying to finish it as soon as possible. That would be being proactive. And Q2, it's at a time where it's not urgent, but you're still doing something that's important. Now, moving on to quadrant 3. This is where something is urgent but not really important. Again, as I explained, urgent because it's a time sensitive matter, non important because it doesn't affect your goals. A good example of this would be if one of your classmates asks you to fill in a survey by the end of the day because they need for the assignment. It's urgent because it has a tight deadline, but it's not important to you because it doesn't affect your goals. And lastly, quadrant 4. It is non-urgent, but also not important. This is where a lot of us tend to spend a lot of our time without realizing. A good example of this would be watching too many TikTok videos, Instagram videos. In short, doing things that are not really important or urgent towards our goals and just procrastinating. And that actually brings me to my next point. Um, this is There are six different types of procrastinators. I personally didn't know this, and by learning what all of them are and what they mean, you understand how you work, uh, and what you can do to improve your time management better as well. Um, so first, I have a perfectionist. Who is a perfectionist? It's about someone that delays starting because they're afraid their result isn't going to be good enough. So they just tend to put off the start because they don't think the result will be as good as they hope. Now let's put a keyword on it to help us identify perfectionist. A keyword for perfectionist would be fear of imperfection. Fuck, I'm running out of space. But I think that's quite explanatory. If you're a perfectionist, you're afraid that if you don't do something good enough, then it uh, won't satisfy your goals. Moving on to the overachiever. What is an overachiever? Who is an overachiever? An overachiever is someone who takes on too much. Sorry. An overachiever would be someone who is in university, for example, but also wants to work uh, a lot to get their money up. Of course, they tend to take on more than they can handle, and then due to the overload, they don't have the energy to start um on what's important and not urgent. What would be a keyword to describe overachiever? A keyword to describe an overachiever would be over committed. I think that's also quite self-explanatory. Now moving on. Next we have a dreamer. Who is a dreamer? I think we can all relate with this one. A dreamer is someone who loves the idea, but when it actually comes to putting in the work, they are not as uh, pressured to start. A good example of this would be if you ever had the dream of becoming more fit, going to the gym more often, to have a good summer body, look good in the summer. You love the idea of the final product having a good looking physique, but when it comes to actually going to the gym, that is a bit too boring. It's not something you necessarily want to indulge in. And that is exactly what a dreamer is. They love the idea, but they're not really excited about doing the boring steps. And what would be a good uh, keyword to describe a dreamer? I would say uh, big ideas, but no action. Moving on. The next would be challenger. Who is a challenger? A challenger is someone who thrives under pressure. They deliberately live things until the last minute so they can build some pressure, and uh, then that's what gets them motivated about the deadline. Um, I think a good keyword to describe challenger would be deadline rush. Here we go. Then, moving on to the adrenaline seeker. Who is an adrenaline seeker? Much similar to the challenger, they tend to live things to the last second. But where this changes is they chase the emotional high of doing something just in time. It's not about leaving things in last minute to build pressure, but they love doing things just in time. And they also uh, tend to leave things until it's very late. What would be a good word to describe journal seeker? Obviously, I think a bit self-explanatory would be adrenaline um, thrill. And moving on to the last one, brooder. I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce this, but who is a brooder? It's someone who overthinks and second guesses their decision. And the only thing that does is delay them from taking action. Again, that's how you procrastinate. A good keyword to describe a brooder would be overthinker. Again, do too much, think too much, do too little. So, after explaining these types, hopefully you understood them and you could identify which one you think you are. And then you can see again your traits and a keyword to describe um, your type of procrastinating. Me personally, I would say I'm a challenger. This is because I don't necessarily feel motivated to do assignments, for example, until they're pretty close to the deadline. And I'm like, okay, now I have to do it. I The pressure motivates me to um, work on my assignments, for example. And this actually correlates to my SMART goals. I know I do this. And one of my SMART goals for this year was to improve my time management by starting to work on assignments 2 weeks in advance and finishing them at least 1 week. Uh, Again, that actually relates to being in quadrant two of the time management matrix. It's where you spend time being proactive and doing things in advance instead of waiting until the last minute. Then it moves into quadrant one. So, if you want to take a second, I think, which of these six types do you think you relate to most? Uh, this is actually important because understanding the the patterns is the first step to applying habit three into your own life. Because if you don't know the pattern, then you can't fix it. So, to bring it back, habit three talks about spending more time in quarter two, planning, being creative, staying ahead. But procrastination pulls it towards quadrant three, working reactively instead of proactively. And recognizing which type of procrastinator pattern you have uh, should help you break the bad patterns and start being more proactive. And that's how you become more effective, according to Covey. So, um, that is habit three, putting first things first, and the sixth type of procrastinators. Thank you for watching, and I hope this helps you think differently about how you manage your own priorities. And I want you to challenge yourself. If you recognize yourself in one of these procrastinator types, try to break the bad habits and become proactive. Thank you for watching.